Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. My name is Kyle. In tonight's video, we're going over the Week 6 waiver wire targets that I have here. I do have the article pulled up. I think I got to put the article in the description as well, so I'm going to do that after the video. But we're looking at the Waiver Wire Report here on thefantasyfellowship.com. I'm going to go over some of the important injuries, and we'll kind of just talk about everybody that I'm looking at. The quarterbacks, there's a handful of quarterback injuries. Of course, we know Russell Wilson's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks with that finger issue. If you're playing in Superflex leagues, that means Geno Smith's a viable ad this week. Jimmy Garoppolo, he's week to week with a calf. He's questionable. I should have questionable for week 7. He's on a bye this week, so ignore that. Justin Fields, it looks like he's going to be good to go. He's listed as questionable for week 6, but I expect him to start practicing tomorrow. Daniel Jones, this is a really interesting one. He had the concussion against Dallas on Sunday. He's questionable for week 6. He's got a clear concussion protocol. Joe Burrow, sounds like he's good to go. He got checked into the hospital with a throat contusion. He's questionable for week 6. I expect him to play. And then Taysom Hill just with the concussion symptoms. We'll see if he's good to go. And then the running backs. This is where some of the heavy injuries were. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he's likely out 2 to 4 weeks with that knee injury. We're going to talk about Daryl Williams and some of the other backs in the Chiefs system. Chris Carson, he's got the neck injury. He's week to week. He's going to be questionable for week 6. I'm very nervous about any player with a neck injury, especially a physical running back like Chris Carson. Damian Harris is questionable with the rib injury. And Juju Smith-Schuster, we learned that he's going to be out for the season. So good news if you have Deontay Johnson and or Chase Claypool. Tyreek Hill, I'm awaiting more info. It doesn't seem too serious. We'll see if he practices tomorrow, but all indications are that he's going to be just fine. Kenny Golladay, he's actually listed as probably doubtful for week 6 here. We'll look at that later, but that's good news for the other Giants receivers here. Quintez Cephas likely out for the season with a shoulder injury. Deontay Harris has a hamstring injury. Curtis Samuel re-injured his groin. That cost him the first few weeks of the season on IR. And then Max Williams, it looks like he's a season-ending injury to the tight end there. They're bringing in extra tight ends. So we'll get into some of the other things. I did want to shout out some players here that are returning from IR shortly here. Ryan Fitzpatrick, it sounds like he might be back before week 10. Tyrod Taylor, doesn't sound like he's going to go this week, but maybe next week if you play in Superflex leagues and Tyrod Taylor's available, he's worth a scoop. Darrington Evans is going to be eligible to return at some point. He's eligible to return already. They just need to deem it that he has returned. David Montgomery, of course, we know he's eligible to return week 8. Jeff Wilson, it sounds like we might not see him till November. Jermichael Hasty's eligible to return after the bye week. Michael Thomas on the PUP list. He's going to be eligible to return next week. Jerry Judy has a chance to play next week, so check your waiver wires for Jerry Judy. He has a game on Thursday night. If they don't play Thursday night, that gives him an extra 10 days. So it's either week 7 or week 8 for Jerry Judy return. Jarvis Landry's trying to return. It doesn't sound like he's likely to play in week 6, but maybe week 7. Michael Gallup's going to come back after the Cowboys bye for week 8. And then Marquez Valdez-Scantling eligible to return next week. George Kittle with the calf injury eligible to return week 9, and Logan Thomas eligible to return week 8. Let me take a look at some of these questions we got going on here. Justin says, do I get Godwin and do I do this? I get Godwin and trade Madison and Allen Robinson. Assuming your running back stable is fine, if Madison's like your 4th or 5th back, I say go for it. That's a huge upgrade from A-Rob to Godwin. You probably added Madison for free, so essentially it didn't cost you anything in this trade. You upgrade from A-Rob to Godwin, so I'm into it. Good evening, Aiden. Hope you're having a good night, sir. Harris asks, is Jared Cook good for me to keep this week and play if I have Justin Herbert? I think so. If you guys haven't checked out the fantasyfellowship.com, I do have this tab here that says fantasy points allowed. I have all of the charts that we need in here, and it looks like down here is where I have the tight ends. The Chargers, 3rd worst against the tight end so far this season. They give up 18 point, or we're looking at the opponent for the Chargers. Let me see what we got here. So the Chargers, who do they play this week? They play the Baltimore Ravens, and the Ravens are pretty decent. I guess they give up a decent amount of points against the tight end here. So 36 catches on the year, 420 yards, and 3 TDs. I would say Jared Cook's a fine play this week. I'd hold on to him one more week. That's going to be a fun, probably one of the better noon games, I think, of the week 6 slate. And yeah, Michael Gallup, man, we're being patient. It looks like he's going to be back probably week 8. Good evening, Devin. Hope you're having a good night, sir. I was the guy on TikTok with the Ravens defense. I've got to pick up a new defense for this week, I think. Manny Fresh. Good evening, man. Thanks for you made me sweat. I made you sweat as well, but I'm glad it worked out. Ravens defense is a problem right now. They have some holes in terms of fantasy points allowed right now. They rank 10th. 99.46 points per game here. They're poorest against running backs and against tight ends so far this season. Aiden says, I want to pick up Tony in my 10 team, but I have Cook, Carson, Connor, Clyde all injured. So CH, IR spot, Daryl Williams, Elijah Mitchell for Booker. I'm questioning here. So you have Dalvin Cook, Carson, Connor, and Clyde all injured. So CH in the IR spot, Daryl Williams, Elijah Mitchell for Booker. Or Booker. I think because you have Clyde Edwards, it makes more sense to go get Daryl Williams. I like Devontae Booker, but the Giants' schedule is just not as juicy as the Chiefs' potential schedule here. So the Giants are going to get the LA Rams, the Panthers, and then they get the Chiefs the following week. So that's kind of a tougher schedule for me to see here. And then if you look at the Chiefs' schedule, they're going to get Washington this week, Tennessee, the Giants, maybe the Packers. So I kind of lean towards Daryl Williams being the guy that I'd like to pick up here. So my QB streams this week, Kirk, Heineke, and Darnold. I'm probably going with Heineke. I have him listed as one of my favorite streams of the week. We'll get into quarterbacks in a second here. I think Gronk is on track to play week 7, and it really helps that they have – I mean, they play, Thursday night this week, so he's going to get an extra 10 days. But it sounds like when I was looking at the player news here, let me click on this. So it says Rob Gronkowski will not play in week 6, but Bruce Arians stated earlier in the week that it would be very close whether Gronk would be able to play on Thursday. So if he's really close to playing this Thursday, strong chance that he's going to play week 7. I don't know who they play, but it's a good chance he plays week 7. And yes, the Washington football team, apparently the Dolphins are the worst team right now for fantasy that we want to target. The football team is the second worst team, and they give up the most quarterback points and the most wide receiver points. So start your QBs, start your wide receivers against the Washington football team. This week they're going to get Kansas City. Just looking ahead here, let's look at that Washington schedule. So looking ahead here, of course, they get the Chiefs this week. They're going to get the Packers next week. So Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, that should be quite a bit of fun. Maybe Marquez Valdez-Scantling returns. The next week, they're going to get the Broncos. So maybe Jerry Judy is ready to go for that game. Cortland Sutton, Tim Patrick. And then they get the Buccaneers. Like, oh, man, Washington's going to be in trouble coming up. So target that team for sure. At least Kirk and Darnold in different leagues, at least one won't bust. Yeah, I like spreading it. I like spreading it out a little bit. Yeah, man, I was so nervous. The team popped off in the Superflex League. Yes, I'm struggling in the Superflex League. I need some help. When is Barkley coming back? They really haven't said anything, which is a little frustrating. But if you're looking for a silver lining to the Saquon Barkley, is they haven't put him on IR. So, typically IR means you're out at least 3 weeks. The fact that they haven't put him on the IR spot yet means that he could return, in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I think it's probably a 2-game absence minimum, and we'll see about that third game. But I don't think it's as bad as we initially feared. Just say back off Geno Smith. And yeah, Geno Smith, man. Geno Smith's going to be a popular super flex ad this week. And it's the first week of buys, and it's actually the worst week of bye weeks, NFL bye weeks. Here we go. I'm going to pull this up here and show you guys. I don't know why the schedule makers decided to put next week's going to be worse, but 4 bye weeks this week: Atlanta, Saints, Jets, 49ers. Next week's going to be a panic week with the Bills, the Cowboys, the Jags, the Vikings, the Steelers, and the Chargers all on bye. It's the only week with 6 bye weeks. So next week's going to be very important for us to get everything lined up. Here it says, should I pick up Joe Burrow and stash him for week 7? Who do the Bengals play? Week 7. Type. The Bengals in week 7. They play Baltimore Ravens. I mean, at this point, the Ravens haven't shown that they can stop teams. So I'm fine with it, especially if you have someone that's going to be on bye. We just looked at all the byes next week. So if you have someone on bye, Joe Burrow, I mean, in a 10, 12 team league, Joe Burrow should be owned as someone's QB2, I think. Who's a good kicker to pick up? Interesting. Let me pull up a league that I have kickers in. I just want to look at the kicker rankings right now. If someone dropped Daniel Carlson, he's been one of my favorite kickers to add. I think the Raiders will get things corrected, and who knows, maybe the team kind of unifies now that John Gruden is no longer there. But I just want to look and see who's owned in the league so far. So if you're looking for someone with a good kicking week this week, maybe it's Dustin Hopkins going up against Kansas City. They're going to need to score points. I like that one. Maybe Chris Boswell going on Sunday Night Football against the Seattle Seahawks. That one makes a lot of sense. Randy Bullock against Buffalo. I don't know if I trust that at all. We're still waiting to see what's up with Rodrigo Blankenship. Maybe the Evan McPherson against Detroit. I don't know how he's been doing. He didn't, do very well last week against Green Bay, but he had been pretty solid. So pickers are tough. Maybe you go with Jason Sanders for the Miami Dolphins because he's been playing fine, and now they get Tua Tagovailoa back, so maybe the offense is a little bit better. Maybe Sanders is the guy. And yeah, Tyler Bass is a pretty good kicker. I have like 5 main guys on week 7. It's not going to be a good time. I know. It's between injuries and then next week's bye week, so week 7 is going to be a gauntlet for everybody. And yeah, Greg the Leg's a pretty good option as well, for sure. But let's get into some of the quarterbacks here on the show tonight. I do have these, filtered by ESPN rostered settings. So Joe Burrow, it's a really good week to get Joe Burrow in your lineup if you're in a QB1 league and you waited on quarterback. Otherwise, QB2 for sure in Superflex leagues. Derek Carr going up against Denver, that's kind of a tougher matchup. Kirk Cousins against Carolina, that's, again, a tougher matchup. And both of those are road games for the teams. And if we go look at fantasy points allowed here, this is the quarterback chart. The Broncos are right here. They're giving up about 14.05 points per game to the quarterbacks. Carolina giving up about 17 points per game here. So not too generous. These are both some of the better units for quarterbacks, I guess, stopping the quarterback. So I think I prefer Kirk Cousins a little bit more than I would Derek Carr. Baker Mayfield going up against Arizona. That's kind of hard to trust right now. Sam Darnold against Minnesota. The Vikings aren't the greatest against I guess they're not the greatest defense, but for some reason they kind of limit quarterbacks right now, about 16.36 points per game. You got Daniel Jones, who, again, we're waiting for his concussion status. I don't think we're going to be interested in him for streaming. But Trevor Lawrence this week going up against the Miami Dolphins. I know it was Tom Brady last week, but the Dolphins got absolutely slapped. Tom Brady threw 5 touchdowns, over 400 yards. So that's why their number's a little bit inflated right now. But Trevor Lawrence could be a potential guy here that I like as a fringe top 12, top 20, or top 15 quarterback, especially with that rushing upside that he showed us last week. Trey Lance on bye, whatever. Justin Fields against Green Bay, probably not going to be interested in streaming him in 1 QB leagues. Green Bay is decent against the quarterback position. I'm looking for them right now. They're kind of middle of the road, give up about 20. I just don't know if I trust the Bears offense quite yet. Matt Ryan's on bye. Again, here's Tua Tagovailoa. So for some reason, I like this Miami-Jacksonville-London game. I think it's going to be sloppy, but it could be a lot of points. The defenses are both not really playing their best football right now. So Tua is an interesting guy. He's worth a pickup. Ben Roethlisberger maybe on Sunday Night Football against Seattle. We know Seattle's defense can be beaten against the QB. You see here they've allowed 9 touchdowns, 1,600 yards. Give up about 21 points per game here to the QB spots. Let me see what else. Teddy Bridgewater against Las Vegas if you're streaming. Mac Jones against Dallas, probably not. But the guy that should be available in most QB1 leagues is probably Taylor Heineke and the Chiefs, man. Chiefs giving up the second most fantasy points to QBs right now. They've allowed 3 rushing touchdowns, 10 passing touchdowns. So this is probably one of the teams that I want to pick on going forward. The Chiefs defense is just a little lacking right now. So Taylor Heineke, good matchup for him here. Maybe Jared Goff, I'm not sure. But for Superflex leagues, Carson Wentz against Houston, Geno Smith against Pittsburgh, and then maybe Zach Wilson's on a bye here. If he's released, you should probably pick him up. But I'll take more quarterback questions if you guys need it. I'm going to look at the comments right now, and we'll look at running backs in a second. Should I keep Alexander Madison? I think so. Just because, Dalvin Cook's kind of had that injury stigma throughout his whole career. So it wouldn't surprise me if he gets hurt again at some point this season and you're sitting on just let's face it, when Cook is out, Alexander Madison is probably a top 5, top 10 running back option for that week, depending on who they play. So I see a lot of value in Alexander Madison. If you want to try and trade him to the Dalvin Cook owner, maybe that might be the best person to trade with. So personally, I'm going to keep Alexander Madison just because you never know with Dalvin Cook. But if you want to try and trade him, maybe go talk to the Dalvin Cook owner and see if you can hold him ransom. Pick one, Jared Cook, Hunter Henry, or Zach Ertz. This week, I'm probably rolling with Zach Ertz just because Dallas Goedert probably not going to play. There's a strong chance that he doesn't clear COVID protocols. And right now, Tampa Bay's defense, they give up the 5th most PPR points. They're giving up about 17.2 total points to the tight end. And if you're telling me Zach Ertz is going to get basically all of the tight end snaps, all of the tight end targets, there's a good chance that he scores a touchdown in this one. I really like the Zach Ertz week here. It's lining up nicely for him. And yeah, I think you got to hold on to Madison probably for the rest of the year. If you want to try and trade him, go ahead and try and trade him if you can. And then J-Rob, top 5 fantasy running back this week. Let me look at the running backs here. I mean, they're playing the Dolphins. Dolphins give up 602 yards, 6 touchdowns, and they give up a lot of receptions and work in the passing game. So I think right now, I don't know if I'm going to call top 5, but top 10, he's probably a top 10 running back this week. So it feels really good for James Robinson. Manny Fresh says he's got to drop one of these dudes: Kenny Gainwell, Tyson Williams, or AJ Dillon. I'm gonna hold on to AJ Dillon and Kenny Gainwell. I think I can drop Tyson Williams. I have trouble trusting the Baltimore Ravens backfield. Like, they still don't even know what they want to do with the guys that they have. If I pull up the box score real quick from last night, and keep in mind, this was in overtime. I know the Ravens got the extra snaps there because they had the ball on offense. So for snap counts, you see Latavius Murray got 36. Devonta Freeman gets 20. Tyson Williams only gets 14. So I'm dropping Tyson Williams. He's the third back right now in that pecking order. And who knows, Le'Veon Bell didn't even get involved really. So I think Tyson Williams is a safe drop for me at the moment. Josh Allen and Diggs on Monday Night Football. It's probably going to be we're waiting for that Stephon Diggs monster game where he catches like 10 balls for 180 yards and a touchdown or two. It's coming. Just be patient with Diggs. Madison started 2 of 5 weeks, which is pretty good. And so far, like, it's funny because he's been in his 2 games, he's actually, done Dalvin Cook things with those 2 games. So they're looking pretty healthy when Madison's in there. So for me, I'm holding on to Alexander Madison. Again, if you're going to try and trade him, talk to the Dalvin Cook owner. Dalton Schultz or Zach Ertz or Tyler Higbee. I'm probably going to try to take advantage of this Zach Ertz situation with Dallas Goedert out. I know Tampa Bay gives up the 6th most tight end points, which is pretty nice. Let's see. Dalton Schultz is playing against the New England Patriots. They've only allowed 11 catches, 106 yards, and a touchdown so far this year. So I'm probably going to fade Dalton Schultz. And then as far as the Rams go, who do they play? Rams are playing the Giants. So for me, I'm just going to lean into the Zach Ertz and see what we can get. So hate AJ Dillon. He is snap goblin. He takes Jones touches for no reason. This is a false narrative, Aiden. This is a false narrative. I just want to show you. I've had to deal with this question a couple times today, and as an AJ or an Aaron Jones fan and owner, I'm not concerned about AJ Dillon because Aaron Jones is still getting his snaps that he's been getting all season. Let me show you guys here. So Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon here, that's what we're looking at. Week 1 for total snaps, Aaron Jones gets 28, AJ Dillon gets 16, 45 snaps for Aaron Jones, 19 for AJ Dillon, 46 in week 3 for Jones, 18 for Dillon, 45 for Jones in week 4, 29 for Dillon in week, in that week. And then again, Aaron Jones gets 45 last week to AJ Dillon's 21. So he's still getting the majority of the snaps. He's getting 65 to 70% of the snaps. So it doesn't really bother me that much. The only thing that popped out last week was AJ Dillon was used as a receiver. So it's not coming at the expense of Aaron Jones. And if you have Aaron Jones, just watching the Packers the last few years, we want to keep Aaron Jones healthy. So a good dose of AJ Dillon makes sense. So just be patient with Aaron Jones. The touchdowns kind of roll and they come in bunches. I'm hurting at receiver and QB right now. Devin's got Mark Andrews, Dalvin Cook, and Aaron Jones. Would you trade them to upgrade wide receiver QB? I would ask you which QBs are on waiver wire. Like if you can go and stash 2 of these guys, whether it's Tua, Lawrence, Kirk, or Joe Burrow. Like I'm curious who you can get as the quarterbacks here. Even if it's Taylor Heineke right now, I think Taylor Heineke against Kansas City, I'm okay with I'm okay with streaming quarterbacks right now. I don't know if I would try to trade these guys, Manders, Dalvin Cook, or Aaron Jones. Dalvin Cook's his value is probably the lowest that it's going to be right now if you want to wait for him to come back one game and then maybe try and salvage it. But I think I'm probably going to try to hold on to those guys and see what I can do. We'll get to the receivers here in a second, and I'll show you guys what we could potentially add on the waiver wire. Manny Fresh says he's got the Allen Knox combo. I have Fant on my bench, trying to trade him now. I would hold on to Knox and try to trade Fant if I could. Do I drop Jacoby? That depends on who you're picking up. I'm going to keep Hunter Renfrow, I think, right now. Jacoby's kind of hard to trust with Mac Jones. It's you're never going to feel comfortable starting Jacoby. I think Hunter Renfrow has proven to be a pretty consistent guy so far this season. But maybe you can try and maybe trade Jacoby if you wanted to. Matt Boehm, good evening, sir. Hope you're having a good one. Dalton Schultz all day YOLO, he says. Still nothing makes me more mad than seeing AJ Dillon on the goal line or as a passing back. That's just part of the game, man. It's just part of the game right now. And if you think about it, looking back at the last 2 seasons of Aaron Jones, and specifically this season, he's actually getting more snaps and more touches than he did the last couple of years because Jamal Williams was actually used a lot more as a runner and a receiver. So right now, Dillon's getting better usage than he has in the last 2 seasons when he's been a top 5 running back. So I'm not too concerned. AJ Dillon, the Packers just realized AJ Dillon's a good player and they need to get him on the field a little bit more here. Do you think Michael Pittman Jr. is a guy to keep or to let go? I'm keeping Michael Pittman Jr. for sure. He's a stud receiver right now. He's getting in a groove with Carson Wentz too. I'm going to hold on to Michael Pittman Jr. Tim Patrick or Tony. Rest of season, give me Kadarius Toney. We got Jerry Judy coming back. I think that's going to be kind of, it's going to limit, Tim Patrick, make him hard to trust, whereas Kadarius Toney looks like he needs more touches. Do you agree that I'm hurting at QB owning Tannehill and Daniel Jones, Kirk, Lawrence, Heineke, and Wentz are all on waivers? Oh, okay. So if this is a 10 or 12-man league, sure, you're probably one of the weakest teams at quarterback. But between playing matchups, it's not as long as you're strong at a couple other positions. It sounds like you got Mark Andrews. It sounds like you're good at running back. So we just need to continue to build up the receiver depth. And as far as streaming quarterbacks this week, I mean, you could go Trevor Lawrence or Taylor Heineke. Maybe let one of the other guys go. Tannehill and that Titans offense, I'm waiting for them to get a little bit better with, hopefully AJ Brown's a little weak, another week healthier, Julio Jones healthier. The Titans offense should be slow to come around, but it's going to get there. So for me, if you're looking for a guy to start, you can maybe start Taylor Heineke this week. I think that's going to be probably your best option. But just looking at the waiver wire running backs real quick, the guys that stuck out to me, Alexander Madison, again, we talked about him a little bit ago. He's 64% rostered. He needs to be don't drop Alexander Madison. We need to hold on to him with our dear lives. You can maybe try and trade him if you so wish. Tony Pollard, he is entering the weekly flex range here where you can, if you're hurt at running back or there's bye weeks and something, you can throw him out there and expect, 7 to 10 points in a PPR league with that upside of him getting a touchdown. I really like Tony Pollard. Don't let him go. AJ Dillon, again, we were just talking about Aaron Jones. AJ Dillon might be a guy that is just worth holding on to because you never know. Latavius Murray, not excited. J.D. McKissick's hard to trust. Sony Michel, I'm still holding on to Sony Michel just because Darrell Henderson has never really proven to be healthy throughout his career. Ronald Jones, I'm considering dropping him in a couple of leagues right now. But Alex Collins, still concerned about Chris Carson's his neck. With Geno Smith now at QB, we might see even more focus on the running game. So hold on to Alex Collins if you got him. Kenneth Gainwell, we're still going to hold on to him. David Johnson, just a nasty, ugly PPR play if you need help there. Samaje Perine. If you're the Joe Mixon owner, Samaje Perine might be worth holding on to. It looks like Perine went on the COVID list this week, so I'm not sure what's going to happen. It looks like it's going to be a big Joe Mixon week. You got Giovanni Bernard here, looking good as the pass-catching back for Tampa Bay in games where they're going to be a little bit tougher. And again, they played the Dolphins last week. They didn't really need to put the foot on the gas. They did anyways. But in tougher games, you're probably going to see more Giovanni Bernard in pass-catching situations. He should be a PPR hold. Brandon Bolden, interesting guy here. They're going to be playing against Dallas. And when the Patriots are trailing, you're going to see more Brandon Bolden on the field. You also got a little injury to Damian Harris. So Brandon Bolden's a guy that you could probably pick up and just chuck him in there as a low-end running back 2 flex. And then probably the 2 pickups that everyone wants to know about is Daryl Williams and Devontae Booker. We looked at the schedule at the beginning of the show. I like Daryl Williams. Just it comes with some caveats. Daryl Williams, really good running back, really sound at pass protection, catching the ball. He can run it. He's kind of their goal line back at times too. But we got to worry about him losing passing down work to Jerick McKinnon. They also activated backup running back Elijah Mitchell today, who used to be pretty good running back for the Jets. So I like Daryl Williams. We just got to limit your expectations. I think he's a running back too, but anywhere between 10 to 12 points should be expected. And if he gets the touchdown, that's where he can boom for you. And then Devontae Booker, he's going to get a ton of volume. It's a tougher matchup against the Rams, but running backs have been producing against the Rams, so I'm not too worried. So if you're looking for a guy to start this week, it's probably just Devontae Booker based on volume alone. But again, I like Daryl Williams quite a bit. And then if you miss out on anybody, Khalil Herbert actually out-touched. He had more carries than Damian Williams last week. He looked pretty good. So tons of running back options on the waiver wire this week. So let me know if you guys have questions on those. But the receivers, we'll get to that next here. Let me answer this question. Pick 4, non-PPR. Pittman Jr., Manuel Sanders, Hunter Renfrow, Jason Myers, Robbie Anderson, or Brandon Ayuk. Jason Myers. Did we have this question again last week? Is that Jacoby Myers? Jacoby Myers. So for PPR purposes, I'm probably going to rule out Hunter Renfrow. I know he's got a really safe floor, but for non-PPR, not interested. I think I like Michael Pittman Jr. the most here. Pick 4, non-PPR. So we're going to go with Pittman and Sanders. Those are the top 2 on my list. I guess I'm probably going to roll with Jacoby Myers in this one. And then I'll tell you what, I'm probably going to go with Hunter Renfrow again too, just because if they get close, he has been a red zone target. So Robbie Anderson, Brandon Ayuk, still too hard to trust for me. I'm going to go with the first 4 receivers you have listed there. But let's get to some of the receivers here on the waiver wire. Emmanuel Sanders, I don't know how he's only 60% rostered in ESPN leagues, but he needs to be flexed in 10, 12-man leagues. He's an interesting wide receiver 3. Devontae Parker might have been dropped. He missed last week's game. We'll see if he can make the trip to London to play the Jaguars. But Hunter Renfrow, man, this is the guy, especially in PPR leagues, you probably want to get him in your lineups. He's hit double digits in 5 straight games. He's a security blanket for Derek Carr. Denver's defense is a pretty tough defense, so it might be a pretty busy day for Hunter Renfrow. So I like his prospects this week. Darnell Mooney, it's confusing with Darnell Mooney. He's a guy you want on your bench. Don't really know if we can trust him just yet. Mecole Hardman. I'm interested in Mecole Hardman. He's 41.8% rostered. And if, again, we go look at the fantasy points allowed, the Washington football team is the worst team against the wide receiver so far this year. In just 5 games, they've allowed 84 receptions, 1,107 yards, and 10 touchdowns. So we know Tyreek Hill, he's probably fine with that knee injury. But even if he's just a little bit limited, or they want to say, okay, let's lean on Mecole Hardman a little bit this week, I think Hardman's a guy that you could flex and see what happens. Again, it's a really juicy matchup against Washington that I like Mecole Hardman for. So if you need receivers that are available, maybe it's Hardman. Marquez Callaway, no one's going to be looking at him. He's on bye, but if you want to snag him, he's worth a look. AJ Green losing some shine last week. He had a disappointing game, whereas Rondale Moore entered back into the flex mix again. He had a good game with getting a handful of touches. So if he was dropped, he's an interesting guy. He might be 34% roster. I don't think that's 14.7. But Jamison Crowder still kicking it. He's 32% rostered. If anyone cuts him on his bye week, he should be scooped up. Tim Patrick, again, with Jerry Judy returning potentially week 7 or week 8, I think Tim Patrick has value for at least the next few weeks. He's worth a start this week against the Raiders, playing pretty well. He's only had 1 lackluster game so far for PPR league, so I think he can be a low-end wide receiver 3 flex for you. Christian Kirk's been playing pretty well too. Out of 5 games, he's only had 1 dud. I think everything else has been 9 to 10 points or above. Sammy Watkins continues to make plays, so if you need help there. Tougher matchup this week against the Chargers here, so I don't know if I like that. But maybe Josh Gordon gets in the fun against Washington. But man, the pickup of the week, it's Kadarius Toney, guys. I know he had an injury. He got ejected last week. He's kind of a hothead player. He's kind of like a knucklehead type player. But man, if he learned his lesson last week and he can kind of keep his emotions in check, I'm looking very optimistic at Kadarius Toney for the rest of the season. Like, this might be, it's hard to find a player that could change your season like this in week 6 of the waiver wire. But if you watched any of that Dallas Cowboys Giants game on Sunday, Kadarius Toney was a problem. Like, I think the Giants know that they need to get him involved in the offense. I think it would be a shame if they didn't, get him the ball almost 10 times a game at this point, whether it's a couple of handoffs or just quick screens. But he's so electric with what he can do in open space. He's clearing away by far, even over the running backs. We're talking Daryl Williams. We're talking even Devontae Booker. I want Kadarius Toney on my teams. He's a wide receiver 3 flex. Any week that he's healthy, I don't even care if Sterling Shepard's coming back, because the cat's kind of out of the bag on Kadarius Toney. He's hard to trust, but I just think the tape speaks for itself. He's a player that you want on your fantasy teams and probably in your lineups this week. Amon-Ra St. Brown, another fun rookie wide receiver. He's, kind of a little bit lesser known, only 4% rostered here. But with Quintez Cephas down for the season, Amon-Ra steps up, and he's kind of like the clear best receiver on the team right now. I know Khalif Raymond had some run, but Amon-Ra St. Brown, if you need help, Jared Goff has been going to him. Let me look at his numbers real quick on some fantasy format numbers here. Amon-Ra St. Brown, let's pull his name up here. We'll filter by PPR. He had a productive day last week. And basically 13 points the last 2 weeks. So 6 for 70 against the Bears, 7 for 65 against the Vikings, and he's seen 8 targets in back-to-back games. He's only really had one bad game with 1 target. So this is a guy, if you miss out on some of the premier waiver wire options this week, I'm interested just because it's opportunity. He's the #1 receiver on the depth chart for the Lions. They're going to be continuing to throw the ball, so I like his prospects quite a bit. And then don't sleep on Preston Williams. With Will Fuller's injury, this opens the door for Preston Williams to be a starting outside receiver here. So plenty of good options. We mentioned one of our guys in the chat room was weak at receiver. Well, we got some receiver options for you here, Devin. Whether it's Tony, Amon-Ra St. Brown, maybe even Tim Patrick. If anyone cuts some of these guys, I'm interested in scooping them up. So let me take a look at the questions that we got here. Pick 2. Manny Sanders, Michael Pittman, or Jarvis Landry. I don't think Jarvis Landry's on track to play this weekend, so I'm going to say Sanders and Pittman Jr. Yeah, Kadarius Toney. He's an interesting guy. He's fun to watch, though, man. He's so fun to watch. Bars in the Tuck. Thanks for hanging out. Left field question of the week. My league gives points for return yards. Try to pick up Jamal Agnew since he's getting targets now. I have a free spot with Clyde Edwards. Let me see. Return yards stats. Interesting. This is a fun question here. So DeAndre Carter leads the league in kickoff return yards. Byron Pringle here. Maybe it's Byron. What do you think about Byron Pringle there, Bars in the Dark? Because Pringle scored a touchdown last week, so I'm interested here quite a bit. I would say Carter. I don't know if Carter's been catching passes. I thought I saw him catch one the other day, though. DeAndre Carter, FF. Hey, let me take a peek here. So DeAndre Carter, wow, he had 9 targets on the season so far. He had 8 in week 5 here. So this is an interesting one, 4 for 62. If you're looking for a guy, DeAndre Carter might be for you. But I feel like Byron Pringle might be the best answer. Let me see what – I know Pringle's not getting as many targets, but he's got the opportunity for a touchdown and a bomb play. So for me, I say I like the Jamal Agnew call. I think that's a pretty dang good one too. I don't know about punt return yards here. Do they have that on here? Punt return yards. So where is he? Am I missing him? Does he not return punts? Okay, so he's more of a kickoff returner. I'd say go for it. It's London. Crazy shit happens. Go with Jamal Agnew. I like it. So going forward, we're going to have a slight change in the schedule because we have fantasy basketball coming back into our lives. So I think going forward and starting tomorrow night, Wednesday nights are going to be a basketball night. I'm going to have my friends John and Drake with me for a basketball show. And so I'm going to push the weekly start sit show to Thursday nights. So we'll do the start sits on Thursday evening. It also gives me an extra day to get 2 extra days basically to get practice reports. So going forward on Thursday nights, we're going to do the start sits. We'll get all the questions and things that you need. And then, of course, we're still going to do probably a Saturday night show this week. So we're on track. Is Allen Robinson worth the roster spot anymore? It's a sad day. It's a sad day when we're looking at Allen Robinson potentially as a cut. So I'm going to give him one more week. He's been traditionally very, very good against the Green Bay Packers. And again, the Packers are hurting at cornerback right now. So I'm looking at Allen Robinson. I'm probably going to hold on to him, give him one more week. We'll see. We're also dealing with a rookie quarterback here who's improving in each game. So it's only a matter of a time. Maybe a divisional game against the Packers is what he needs. I'm going to hold on to Allen Robinson. But if he pops off, you should try and trade him as soon as we can. So yeah, Jamal Agnew is the guy. My NBA team. It's been a good time for Wisconsin sports this year. I know the Brewers probably not doing so great, but The Bucks are my NBA team, and yeah, tomorrow night I'm going to be going live. We're going to do a live mock draft with my friends John and Drake. We'll get the first trio mock draft of the season. But before I go here, I got 5 more minutes for you guys. Tight ends real quick. It's Dawson Knox season. He's a top 5 tight end right now the rest of the season. I think Dalton Schultz is too. These guys are the surprises of the year. You want to roll with these guys as much as you can. Jared Cook, Jonathan Smith, Austin Hooper, whatever. I like Jared Cook, probably the best of that group. But Hunter Henry, don't sleep on Hunter Henry. He's been a very viable tight end so far. It seems like Mac Jones trusts him. He's a little bit more steady. So I like Hunter Henry here. Evan Ingram, just with the injuries the Giants have been having at the receiver position, Evan Ingram's going to play a lot. He's still a pretty good dynamic player. He just needs to get more consistent, and he just needs to stay healthy. So Evan Ingram, if he's available, I like him. I need to update this and put Zach Ertz as probably the pickup stream of the week. If you're streaming tight ends, Zach Ertz is the guy for you. And then if you don't get Zach Ertz, Dan Arnold needs to be picked up. He had a really good game. Jaguars are playing the Miami Dolphins in London again this week. And Dan Arnold, I think he commanded 8 targets last week. I think he caught 6 for 62 yards. So he's looking like a really trustworthy piece for Trevor Lawrence. He's gotten integrated in that offense in a matter of 2 weeks after the trade. So I'm very interested in Dan Arnold. And then if you guys need some streaming defenses, assuming these top defenses are owned, that's Tampa, Buffalo, Denver, New England, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, LA Rams, New Orleans, Cleveland, and San Francisco. I think there's probably strong plays to get the Colts defense this week, maybe the Packers against Chicago, and maybe the Cowboys against the New England Patriots. I think those are probably your best defenses to stream. If you don't get any of those guys, the Dolphins and the Bengals might be interesting. But man, it's hard to trust the Dolphins right now. So I might regret saying that, but we'll see. And yeah, tomorrow night we'll be doing a mock draft. I have to confirm the time. I'm not sure what time we're doing it yet. Who do I pick up to add at running back? Who do I pick up to add a running back to in week 7 non-PPR? Let's see. Who do I pick up to add at running back week 2? At running back 2 week 7 non-PPR. I'm blanking here on who to potentially look up at. If you're looking for a guy for next week and trying to be a week early, let me look at this schedule real quick. So we need a running back 2, huh? It's really hard to say just with all the changing and the moving parts of this offense here. I like Brandon Bolden as it's non-PPR though, so maybe not Brandon Bolden. It's really difficult to say. I mean, Alex Collins maybe against New Orleans. It's hard to project, man. At this point, you're probably picking up a handcuff and seeing what happens. If you're looking for a starter, I need to know who's available to give you a better idea. Yeah, I can send you the chat. Good evening, Eduardo. Dead boy Gino. When we go live on Thursday, I'm thinking what works best for you guys. We could do 6. I know the game starts around 7:20. So what if I go live at 6:30? We hang out a little bit and we sign off before kickoff. I think 6:30 on Thursday night. If we want to lock that time in, I'm cool with that. And then that gives us, up until kickoff to get our questions in. So 6:30 Thursday night. If you guys got any more questions, and that was the last call for questions, fire them up. But otherwise, go ahead and just good luck on your waiver wires this week. I think I'm probably going to be passing on some of these guys on the waiver wire this week. I'm going to be trying to pick up some guys for free, whether that is a guy like Giovanni Bernard or Khalil Herbert, some of these guys that I can just scoop for free, for cheap. Maybe Amon-Ra St. Brown looks promising. Preston Williams. Again, I'm still not out on the Preston Williams bandwagon. He's been a pretty productive receiver, just needs to stay healthy. Looks like Daryl Williams, Devontae Booker, Sonny Michel, Kenneth Gainwell, Giovanni Bernard. So if you're looking for a guy for next week, let me go back to that week 7 schedule here. I believe it was Daryl Williams against Tennessee. That's probably the one that I want to target. Let me pull it up real quick. I mean, Kansas City, Tennessee, man. I'm probably going to roll with Daryl Williams. The Giants do play Carolina. That is a good matchup for our guy here, but I'm going to roll with Kansas City in that offense. So if you need to get the claim in, Daryl Williams is probably the guy for Week 7. If you want to put another claim in for Booker, that would be number 2. And then my third claim among this group, it's kind of a hope and a prayer, but maybe it's Sony Michel against Detroit Lions. That one's kind of a sneaky one. Again, it's at home against the Detroit. Like, they should be able to rack up some rushing stats here. So that's what I like, I guess, in that pecking order. But I don't know. I'm going to get out of here for tonight, though. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. If you guys want to hang out for the basketball show, good luck with that, Aiden. If you want to hang out for the basketball show tomorrow night, we're going to do a live mock stream. But again, Thursday night, 6:30 p.m. Central Time, we'll go live with the Start Sit questions. Check us out on TikTok. I've been putting out a lot of free content and just thoughts throughout the day on there. So if you guys are on TikTok, check it out there. Put out a lot of free stuff. And I don't know. Thank you guys so much. Have a good rest of your night. Good luck with your waivers. We'll see you later. Peace.